I'm going to call to order the Monday, July 21st, 2025 meeting of the Town of Dudley Government Study Committee. And the first order on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I don't know that all of us have seen the minutes from last time because they were uploaded to the OneDrive.
You can pass it over.
We can pass that over?
Yep.
Okay, let's pass over those minutes, and then maybe next time we can approve both meetings. On to item number 3, public business, review of memo with charges. And Olivia, I think you can help us review the memo from the selectmen.
Yep, so that was something that was uploaded into the OneDrive, and it's my understanding that not everybody was able to access their town emails. I think most of you were, but in case there's somebody who hasn't seen it yet, I can pull it up here. You give me just a moment. There we go. So I can just read part of this off if
I've got it.
that's what you'd like, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
But this is a memo from the Board of Selectmen to the Government Study Committee members dated June 2nd, 2025. The Government Study Committee is established in accordance with the findings of the December 2024 Financial Management Review of the Town of Dudley conducted by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue's Division of Local Services, DLS. Among 16 recommendations provided by DLS in the final report, recommendation 3, establish a government study committee, stated in part that Dudley's, quote, decentralized structure does not provide essential coordination and communication to effectively and efficiently carry out the functions of government. We recommend that the select board appoint a government study committee to reevaluate the current structure, end quote. On June 2nd, the Dudley Board of Selectmen, following the Town of Dudley Financial Management Review Action Plan approved January 27th, 2025, appointed a government study committee, all of you. The Dudley Government Study Committee is comprised of 7 voting members and up to 2 non-voting alternates for a term of 18 months. Mission statement: the Dudley Government Study Committee was established in direct response to resident concerns regarding the efficiency and effectiveness of Dudley's municipal government, as expressed through a series of citizens' petitions and amendments at town meetings. Its mission is to evaluate the town's current form of government and organizational structure, guided in part by the findings and recommendations of the Division of Local Services Financial Management Review completed in December of 2024. Based on this review and broader best practices, the Dudley Government Study Committee will recommend changes as necessary to improve governance, ensure accountability, and support the consistent, equitable, and high-quality delivery of public services. And then we go through the committee charge. The Dudley Government Study Committee is charged with conducting a comprehensive review of the Town of Dudley's current form of government and its overall operational structure. The committee shall gather and evaluate relevant information and, based on its findings, present actionable recommendations to the Board of Selectmen and town meeting. All recommendations shall be developed in a spirit of collaboration and transparency, with the goal of enhancing the town's efficiency, professionalism, ethical governance, and accountability to its residents. Town of Dudley Government Study Committee key considerations for review. As part of its charge, the Dudley Government Study Committee shall give careful and deliberate consideration to the following questions to assess the effectiveness of Dudley's current governmental structure and identify potential improvements. Number 1, effectiveness of current government. Is the town's existing form of government effective in meeting Dudley's present and future needs? Number 2, adoption of a town charter or alternative governance tools. Should the town pursue the development and adoption of an official town charter, a series of targeted bylaw changes and special legislation, or a combination of both to formalize and strengthen Dudley's governance structure? Number 3, operational efficiency. What structural or procedural changes could enhance the efficiency and productivity of municipal operations with due consideration for availability of funds? Number 4, governance model. Should Dudley remain and refine its current governance model, which includes a Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator, to ensure it continues to serve the town effectively? What are the benefits and challenges associated with this structure? Number 5, elected boards and jurisdictional structure. Are independently elected boards, officials, committees, and departments the most effective and efficient model for governance? What are the benefits and challenges associated with this structure? This Dudley Government Study Committee shall combine and reconsider Recommendation 2, convert the elected treasurer-collector to an appointed position as provided in the DLS December 2024 Financial Management Review of the Town of Dudley as part of this overall review. Number 6, legislative body structure. Should Dudley continue to operate under an open town meeting format as its legislative body? Number 7, roles, responsibilities, and job descriptions. Is there a need to update or clarify job descriptions and the roles and responsibilities of specific boards and committees? Number 8, training and education for public officials. Would structured training programs addressing meeting procedures, open meeting law, ethics, and codes of conduct benefit members of public boards and committees? Number 9, communication and transparency. What improvements can be made to enhance public access to information and foster clearer communication between town officials and residents? And number 10, use of technology. How can the town better utilize modern technology to advance its mission, improve service delivery, and strengthen community engagement? Reporting requirements and duration. A draft report shall be submitted to the Board of Selectmen by February 1st, 2026. This report may be presented by the committee to the Board of Selectmen and will be discussed in open session where public comment will be received. A final report of the committee's findings, including any recommended actions to be taken at town meeting, will be provided to the Board of Selectmen no later than March 30th, 2026, to coincide with the publication of the annual town meeting warrant. Attendance at town meeting, if/as indicated or required by the Dudley Government Study Committee in support of any recommendations presented to voters. And that just goes on to explain the membership of 7 members at large appointed by the Board of Selectmen with up to 2 alternates. We shall have no vote unless appointed to replace a discharged or absent member. The alternates will have a voice and shall participate in all meetings of the Dudley Government Study Committee. The committee shall appoint a chair, vice chair, and clerk at their first official meeting.
Thank you.
I think that's the gist of it.
And we want to welcome Robin to the committee too. You weren't here last time.
Thank you.
But thank you for joining us as a full-time member.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think. So that's the memo, and that's what we're charged to do. I don't know if it's appropriate to discuss this now or not, but I've started to do some research on government study committee reports from different towns across the Commonwealth. Some of them have been in existence for years, and it took them years to compile those reports. We're tasked with doing it in approximately 8 months.
So, Mr. Chairman, if you and the committee find that that timeline is too aggressive and that there is work that still needs to be carried out and you can't meet that timeline, I believe I said it last time that there is a special town meeting in October of 2026.
Okay.
You can see how much work you get done by March. Maybe you'll start digging into it and be really productive.
Well, and I don't want to set us up, as
Right.
not being able to do this. It may be perfectly reasonable, but many of them took at least a year, if not longer.
I did notice that in my research as well, pulling together examples for all of you.
Right. And I'd want to do a thorough job and one that is, complete and reflects what we want to do and not rush. So if we needed to, we could probably just request an extension or something from the Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
Since we've been charged to do it by February 1st and have something produced by March 30th and whatnot. Okay, good, yeah, but not saying we can't do it, just that maybe that's open. Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything on any of the points that Olivia read?
I thought it was a good mission. I thought it was put together pretty well, pretty thorough. I mean, it very clearly defines what we're here for. It's not always the case when a mission is developed for a committee, so I thought it was well done.
If I may, I understand that we also have an agenda item assignment of research topics. And just looking at these charges, are we referring to these as our topics?
I believe we are.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that's a carryover agenda item from the last meeting where it was determined you all didn't want to get into the assignment of research topics just yet. So I did leave that on the agenda if you want to pass it over again while you're still receiving new information, and because some of you haven't had access to the OneDrive yet, that's fine if you want to assign it tonight, but again, this memo does lay out your charges, so if you saw those 10 items as your 10 research areas, you could combine some.
Sure, okay.
It's up for
Mr.
discussion.
Chair, question, probably for more or less Olivia. So we have our 10 charges within that memo. However, dating back to 27 January 2025, town's fiscal management review action plan, there are also other charges that are broken down into subsets. Do we focus more on the memo from the Board of Selectmen this past June, or should we focus more on our financial management review action plan from January 25?
Through the,
I would suggest that, Paul, that this is what we're focusing on.
The 10?
Yeah, because, you know, we were part of the Department of Revenue comments. We weren't charged by the Department of Revenue to study all the financial.
Understood, thank you.
So that would be, I have a hunch you were trying to get that off the table.
Yes,
That's what I.
because that seemed
I could
much
read it
more
to
in
you.
depth
Yeah.
than the 10
Different
charges.
focus, different
Yes.
focus.
And we were reviewing a lot of that last meeting, and
Mhm.
a lot of those things were maybe outside of our control or purview, so focusing on the items in the memo is the best course of action.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, wonderful. Item B is discussion of new materials, review of towns with existing or completed government study committee reports. Did you want to go over some of those right now?
sure, I can definitely go over that. I did add quite a few files into the OneDrive, and one of those is a Word document. Let me just pull it up here. It's entitled Examples of Government Study Committees, and I will open that up. Let's see.
While you're doing that, some of the ones that I found some of them are quite, very scholarly and hundreds of pages.
Right.
Others are, they're all formal, but some are less scholarly written than that, so I don't know where we're gonna fall.
So I do have this document here, and I went through, we have Westminster, Sharon, Charlton, Duxbury, Williamstown, Concord, Weston, and Sterling. Some of these date back, for example, Sterling was 2009. I think Williamstown was 2022, so there's a span of roughly 20 years of reports in here. So I'll go to Westminster first, because that's the first one on the list. Okay. Town Government Study Committee disbanded. And you'll see here, this is a lot of reading that the committee members can do. But this one has all the tabs here on the left. They have a study final charter presentation, their proposed town charter, that's the direction they chose to go, a question and answer section, their final town charter report, and the form of government change matrix. So it looks like Westminster was very focused on getting a town charter. If I go back to the Word document and pull up, let's go Weston. This is a PowerPoint of an overview of the committee's work and current status, and I think this was an update that they gave to the select board, sort of a PowerPoint update, talking about their charge, what they've done so far. So at that point, they had reviewed governance policies and procedures of similar towns, presentation to other Weston communities for input on practices, policies, and suggestions, public meetings seeking input, surveys for resident and staff input, research and interviews on the experience of other towns that voted to increase their select board size. So I think that was one of their charges, is moving their size from 3 to 5 select board members. For reference, we have 5 selectmen currently, but it's just one of the things that government study committees can look at. So it goes into their surveys. I'm not sure if people here are interested in sending out some sort of survey, but it shows how they compiled it and sent it out, so that might be of interest to the committee to see the strategy for that. Go back to our Word document. If we go and see what Charlton did, a neighboring community. This was the white paper report of the Charlton Government Study Committee, May 13th, 2016. It is 20 pages, and it goes with their background, approach, analysis. It looks like they did a SWOT analysis, strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. Areas for committee consideration: Charlton looked at major structural changes, organizational changes, and procedural changes. They made their recommendations, and then they had an appendix section. So I guess reading through these, it looks like they also used SurveyMonkey to send out some surveys, open-ended questions like, does our current form of government hamper you from doing your job anyway? That went to staff members. They did their SWOT analysis. So areas for committee investigation, it looks like Charlton looked at charter versus bylaws. They looked at getting a Department of Public Works, which was the consolidation of the offices of the Cemetery Commission, Conservation Commission, and Highway Department into a single entity known as the Department of Public Works. As a reminder, Mr. Chairman, we do not have a Department of Public Works at this time. We have a Highway Department, and we have a separate Water and Sewer Department, which is two separate departments and both function sort of together, but under an enterprise fund. And again, it says here, Department of Water and Sewer, a finance director, which is the offices of the treasurer, collector, and accountant, are currently three separate entities, and a recurring complaint seems to stem from the added trouble of dividing entities that many would assume would work together. While it is a law for Charlton to have a finance committee, there's nothing preventing the town from consolidating the office of the treasurer and the office of the collector together for sake of improving efficiency. So then they talked about a finance director. They talked about the budget process, town constables, human resources, getting financial policies, a planning director, the frequency of town meeting, intra-department meetings, trust, knowledge of responsibilities, leadership hierarchy, evaluations. It just keeps going.
How do we determine if they enacted any of that, or that any of it actually came to fruition?
It's a good question.
I wondered that about all these other ones too, because a lot of these reports say a lot of things, but.
Might have to interview or go back and maybe interview the
Okay.
town administrator or.
I know some of them did.
Mhm.
I believe at least 4 of them, I think, that I know of, people that are there. But I'm happy to take that on. It might be easy for me to get in touch with some people.
I believe that a finance director was appointed and still exists. The offices were consolidated, and I believe an HR department was created. I'm not sure of the rest of the items.
What town is that?
Charlton?
And in, speaking with them, we could also find out what's the quality, what's the outcome, it's been, when's this, 2000, when was this?
2016.
2016, so, it's been quite a.
Was it benefit what they believe it
What
did?
actually,
Yes.
what was the outcome, not just if it happened. Did it result in improvement?
If I may, do we have access to, this was spawned from residents basically filing complaints or to the town. That's public knowledge of what their gripe was. Do we have access to that?
If there are any written complaints, I can look for those.
They must have filed a petition or,
There are citizens petitions, and that would have been, I believe, that went in the binder of information that I provided the first time, and I can
Okay.
re-upload those into the OneDrive, but there were a few different citizens petitions that went forward. And there were also just talks about getting a financial management review done for the town, because there were some residents out there that knew DLS had done it for other towns. So that prompted the board to direct the town administrator to reach out to DLS and ask if something could be done for Dudley.
You're talking about for Dudley, do you mean for Charlton?
No, for Dudley.
for our
I'm just
town. Oh,
saying,
okay, yeah.
as a piece of information
Right.
on kind of the precipitous of all of this, what the real issues.
So the
kinda got
crux
this
of the
kicked-
DLS report came from citizens' complaints?
Believe it was some concerned citizens wanting the DLS to do a
Okay.
report for the town.
Stemming back to the budget crisis from 2 or 3 years ago with the school systems, and then calling for forensic audits of all the finances and whatnot. This is kind of the end
Right.
point of all that.
I would say so. I think this is kind of the result that came out of it, because it was determined a forensic audit costs tens of thousands of dollars and was not necessary.
Right.
and isn't usually done just because, you know, it's prompted by something major, and DLS said there was nothing major because our yearly audits come back with no major issues.
Right. And also a response to not forming an audit committee, because that was presented, and I don't know what the right term is. It was not approved by the Attorney General, right?
I think the Attorney General response to the audit committee was in the binder, so it might actually be somewhere in Paul's binder there. I'll put you on the spot, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Comfy.
It's in my binder too, but she called you out.
So what would I be looking for, Olivia?
Let's see if I can.
Up front in the DLS report?
I think there was a response from the Attorney General about the audit committee specifically.
1-4B.
1-4, yeah. 1-4B.
I can see if I can pull it up on my end.
There we go. See, she
Oh,
should
there
have gone
it
right
is.
to Rich.
There it is right there. And 1-4B.
One tab?
1-4B.
Yes, it would have been on letterhead from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of the Attorney General dated October 25th, 2024.
This is what it was, that their opinion was that the audit committee could interfere with the selectmen's authority. So I think that's why they probably shut it down.
Yep, it is a 7-page document, but there is a sentence at the beginning that says, "For these reasons and as explained in more detail, we must disapprove Article 24 in its entirety." In our decision below, we summarize the bylaw adopted under Article 24, the Attorney General's standard of review, and then explain why, based on this standard of review, we disapprove of Article 24. In addition, we offer comments for the town's consideration should the town wish to revisit the topic of an advisory audit committee bylaw to ensure that the bylaw is consistent with municipal finance laws.
It should be one
Yeah, it's on it.
It's at the end.
It's at the end of that
Pages.
section.
here. Yeah, you're gonna have.
The light at the end.
Not there, though.
What, couple more pages? Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
No. No, it doesn't have it.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Who has it? Oh, no.
No.
That's just-
Unless if it's buried somewhere else.
Okay, well, anyway,
Yeah, I'll get this uploaded into the OneDrive.
that's fine. So our committee, being an independent group of citizens who want to help solve this problem, was formed in lieu, I think, of the audit committee, almost. To kind of review things and see where we could possibly do things better or differently that would help alleviate some of the concerns that the audit committee was originally put on that town meeting, right?
Through the chair, I think, now, without having the actual citizens petition in front of me, which might
We
also
have.
be in the binder, explains the original intent of the audit committee, and I don't know if it was intended to be a government study committee or more of having more control or more say over the town's yearly audit process. I think one of the things they wanted to do, it's quoted here in the Attorney General's report, is they will work independently of the Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator to select the town's auditor pursuant to MGL Chapter 44.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Right, and that's what the AG shot down.
Right.
1.1A has the establishment of the audit committee information.
Okay.
Just one singular piece of paper.
Okay.
Chairman, if I could ask Olivia a very unfair question, and anyone else, residents. What kind of, when we talk about reacting to complaints from residents, are we talking about a lot of complaints? Are we talking about 2 complaints from very loud people? Are we talking about, we're talking about 100 people? And I just ask because, like anything, we've looked at, the past charter committee reports. They're in here, and I thought they were fairly consistent conclusions. You know, I would be surprised if there isn't some recommendation for some level of consolidation. I don't know that yet. But anything we do, obviously, it would be very nice to feel that there's a legitimate review by the town and consideration. So I'd be interested to know, are we talking about a outpouring of concern, or we not, I don't know if anyone can characterize that for me. I said it was a completely unfair question. I did preface it for you.
Okay, through the chair, I don't know the number of people who are out there asking for the DLS financial management review to be conducted, but I also know that there were some selectmen who then sort of became interested in doing it as well. It wasn't a necessary, like, the residents are saying this, so we must do that because of that. It was more, they're bringing up a good point. I think this could come up with some good findings and recommendations. So it prompted some internal thinking as well, and that's ultimately, I think, what drove the Board of Selectmen to pursue it. So I don't know how many residents it was that originally were asking for this financial management review, but it generated enough interest that we decided to go forward with it.
Is some of this coming from inside too, department heads, staff? Just out of curiosity.
Ooh, that I'm
If
not
you don't
sure.
know, it's okay if you
I don't
don't
think
know.
I know that one, just because I might have been working remotely and at school at the time of that.
It's not exactly on topic anyway, it was just a curiosity, that's all.
Okay.
Maybe worthy of a survey. Right,
It
I
might
mean,
be.
I could just speak from, I live on, Pear Point, Middle Pond. I think the sentiment in a lot of the people on that pond is that, financially, the town kept coming for tax increases, and there was always a lot of questioning about the fiscal responsibility of the town and the finance management. So that's just from, that's a small sampling, but a population larger than this room.
Sure.
And the number of complaints that were raised by town petition, right? You only had a couple people as far as I can see, so, so you got the people that are vocal, which are gonna be the minority, versus, the sentiment of the populace that are really not gonna, people aren't gonna beat the drum. But I'm just telling, just a piece of information. You ask the question, and, and myself included. I'm part of that group of people that questioning the fiscal, responsibility of the town when they keep coming and asking for Prop 2.5, within, less than 5 years, keep asking for more and overriding and keep pushing the budget through until it gets passed. They go to town meeting, they keep finding a way to get it through. When they don't get when the populace says no, they keep bringing it one way or the other. And so that tends to push people into an unfavorable feeling, right? When the people say no, they keep going around it. And, well, they find there's legal ways of doing it. Obviously, I'm not the, and I'm just saying that that's the sentiment of the people, and I've questioned it as well. So, anyway,
Sure.
I don't wanna, I think
No,
this
but
is.
thank you. It's good.
I think this is a good
Good to
thing.
know.
I think this is a good thing, personally.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask a question, Olivia, also. There was reference to petitions plural, and I see one in here. Is there another one? Were there more than one?
Yes, through the chair, that was the petition for the citizens petition for the audit committee. There were also citizens petitions recently for changes to the personnel bylaw and the town administrator bylaw. I think that's in the binders somewhere. Hate to bring that up again. Let me
There's
see
a
if I
lot in the
can.
binder.
There is a
Yeah,
lot in the
I
binders.
overlooked
Let's
that.
ask Paul.
Yeah, right.
I know I wasn't at the last meeting, but I did watch the recording this afternoon to prepare for tonight. And Cheryl made, I think, an important point that is coming up again here tonight, which is, we represent the citizens, right? And so, when we're establishing the effectiveness of the current government, we really should be looking through their eyes, their lens. And so, I think that does sort of help us to decide, we need to establish what is it that they want, right? What is it that they are looking for from the government, and what is missing? So I think, to Brian's point, we probably will need to do some sort of fact gathering from the town members to get to that. What is it that's missing? What is it that's working well for them? Those types of things.
I agree, and I think as I read through this information before our first meeting, which I then came unprepared for, but my initial thought was that we have some kind of an initial survey, whether it's I forgot the name of that app.
Survey Monkey.
Thank you, Survey Monkey. Just an initial survey of those who are willing to participate and say, hey, we're here, we're your committee. This is a general idea of our charges. What are your thoughts about these things? And then just get some raw information and get the temperament of what our fellow residents are thinking. You discussed, your neighborhood, and I know some folks in my neighborhood, but Dudley's larger than those neighborhoods. And it's good to see what folks are thinking, and, and it could be that there's a lot of apathy, or there could be a lot of just interested people who just aren't involved, or are only involved if you reach out to them and ask them, to participate and give their voice to these concerns. So I think it's worthy of an initial survey from us.
Olivia, what were the most recent charter or government study review reports that you had? I know you mentioned 2022 was one of them. I'm thinking like who may have done a recent outreach survey that maybe has some value to us if we're going to do our own,
Yeah, no, but that's,
instead of starting from scratch.
So first, through the chair, I'll answer Cheryl's question about the other two citizens petitions. Looks like that's coming in my next block of information, so before Paul searches his entire binder looking for something that's not there.
It's in there.
Still haven't come across it.
I did write the note that'll be in the next block of information. And then if we're looking here, I didn't write dates, I probably should have, dates that these reports went out. I know that Williamstown here looks like it would have been the final report dated December 10th, 2021. And was Weston 2022? I think Weston might have been 2022. Let's see, Sharon says November 16th. Of what year though? 2022.
It's really decent.
So those are fairly recent, and I'm not sure if Sharon did any sort of, let's see if they did any survey. The committee conducted 2 surveys, one at annual town meeting on May 2nd, 2022, and another online from June to August of 2022. So I'm not sure if it goes into detail.
Did you say that was Sharon?
That's Sharon, yes. Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, do you think it's just appropriate that we send, through SurveyMonkey or whatever the town uses, the 10 charges that we're looking at? Just send those out to the citizens and,
Good idea.
just get their thinking on each, and that should steer the direction for us.
Does the town currently have a way to survey the town that's not Survey Monkey? 'Cause
Or
it's
whatever,
kind of-
methodology.
It's kind of spammy.
How do
Does
we
the
do
town
that?
have an official way to do it?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I could look into it. I know that CMRPC, which is the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Committee, they did a survey maybe a year or two, and Robin, you might actually be familiar. That was related to the Gateway, I think. And I want to say that was conducted through SurveyMonkey. I think so. Other than that, I don't know of any recent major surveys that have been sent out by the town, and that was done through CMRPC. So if there are other platforms other than SurveyMonkey that might be more functional, we could look at that.
How many people answered that one with the SurveyMonkey, do you know?
I can look up in some files and see. Give me a minute.
Just, I would
Yeah.
never touch a SurveyMonkey link that was just sent to me randomly. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you'd probably send out an announcement on the public page, wouldn't you, for a survey?
Yeah,
Notifying citizens?
For a survey, the official link would be posted on the town website. We could run it on social media as well, so people were informed of the legitimacy and where it was coming.
And how would we verify that citizens of Dudley are answering it? Is there any way to know that?
Trust?
We've got to go on.
I guess that's the IT question, I would say.
Yeah.
That would be an IT question, and maybe that's something the committee could look into on how the other towns conducted their surveys. Because Sharon did it at annual town meeting, and then also an online townwide survey provided data from more than 1,200 respondents regarding their governance preferences. So were all 1,200 of those Sharon residents? I don't know. I don't know if there was a way that they were able to ensure residency.
I'm wondering if those surveys were done, at what point in the process? Was that after a report was submitted? Was that as part of generating a study effort? Just curious.
I would think the importance would be up front. No?
It would.
Up front, at the end,
I'm
in the
sorry.
middle. We can do the one
Yeah.
for
We
each
could do
stage.
multiple.
I think just those 10 up front would give us some direction.
We could halfway through say this is what we're thinking after we heard your stuff, and then see how they think. If
As a
they
follow-up.
still are not happy with it, then we keep going.
Follow, sure.
Yeah.
Perhaps at the rough draft, what was that, the February 1st date for the draft, would be a great time for a second survey, and then whatever information we get back that's, provides feedback, we'll find a way to incorporate that or.
So if we
shoot
move,
for
if we
final.
move down the road of wanting to survey residents about these 10 questions, we're gonna have to flesh out some of these questions. I mean,
Yeah.
is the town's existing form of government effective? That's, is at its simplest, a yes or no question, but are there other parts to that that we wanna
Yeah.
fine tune the answer?
Just a quick narrative would,
Well, because in essence, we're being charged with studying that.
Right.
And somebody's opinion who isn't
Studying.
studying that,
Right.
their opinion, how much value is it? I don't know. So I think you just have to understand what the limitations of the tool you're using.
I think the value comes in the way we ask the question.
I was thinking the same, and I was
Yeah.
thinking it's not about them deciding whether it's effective, but more about, are you satisfied, or how do you feel about
Right.
the effectiveness of it, and so if they're like, on a scale of 1 to 10, or yes, I think it's our government in general,
Yeah.
regardless of its form, maybe make it a little more blanket like that.
Right, and dividing it into tasks or services that they would expect from the government, and looking at it in those chunks. I'm highly satisfied in, the way the town's, the budget, and then, the public works, or, Department of Sewer. That we need to granulize that a little bit, otherwise we're just gonna get a big lump of, generally satisfied, and
Right.
it's not gonna be.
Or a bunch of no's or yeses,
Yeah.
and we don't know what
Right.
part is.
So we have to sort of think
That's
through, sort of,
Yeah.
what's the segmentation that we want to think about, to get enough actionable information.
Okay.
So developing a survey will take a little time,
Mhm.
but it's doable, for sure.
So if we assign research topics, maybe once we research a little bit, we can come up with the best questions that we would like answered.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah, I would say we would wanna have some research done before we would go into a survey. I would agree with that. I don't have a final count on the question that you asked earlier, but at one point in the survey process, we had 179 responses to the Dudley Gateway survey.
Do you know how many people it was sent to?
No, but because it wasn't, it was open, again, it was
Okay.
sent, it was on the website, so it's not like it was sent to people.
I mean, out of 11,850 residents, that's not a super bad survey size.
Probably not.
No.
Yep.
I think statistically, if you got a little bit more than that, you'd be okay.
Yeah, and that was, like I said, that was midway through, so I think we did end up getting more responses.
Okay.
I'm just looking through some old files.
Pardon me, I'm sorry. Perhaps we could get people to encourage, maybe the Board of Selectmen can encourage people, maybe at different meetings that are being broadcast such as this, people could just encourage and say, hey, you wanted this is here, this is your opportunity to, put your voice in the mix.
Sure.
I know I'll tell all my friends and neighbors.
Well, the next agenda item is assignment of research topics. So if we break these topics down amongst ourselves, and we're meeting in 2 weeks from now, maybe in those 2 weeks, if everybody can do some research on their topic, and there may be, there may be surveys like this out there already that we can find that may say what would lead us to what types of questions we're. I suppose.
That's why I was wondering how recent some of these studies were done, because I'm happy to make some phone calls to some of the towns that have most recently had these efforts and see what I can get from them. Now, obviously, if they were done in 2002, the people who were there
They may not
had no
even-
idea.
Right.
What was done, who was involved, and whether it's effective or not, because you're probably 3 generations down the road now in terms of
Probably.
people's memories. So, but I'm happy to, if I can work with Olivia to get a good list of those communities to contact, I'm happy to do that.
Well, that'd be great, thank you.
Yeah, I
Like
can
mentioned in
certainly.
the last meeting too, and I'm glad we get a methodology on how to approach a government study. It's kind of an overwhelming task, just, when it's at the outset.
Well, I like the idea of the survey. We can come up with 10 fabulous ideas, but no one might like them.
Yeah.
So what have we just spent a year and a half, what will we have spent a year and a half on? Nothing. So we better find out what the citizens of Dudley would like to see, and then work to figure out whether we can make that possible, and what the effects might be.
I think in addition to these 10 items listed, I actually highlighted above that where it talks about the spirit of collaboration and transparency. And then it says, with the goal of enhancing the town's efficiency, professionalism, ethical governance, and accountability to its residents. I think including those issues in the survey will be very important to residents, because I think those are issues where people question what, is something ethical here, or how come I don't know, or maybe they feel like they're not being heard. So I think including that, so not just perhaps 10. I mean, the survey might even be bigger than 10. It could end up being, 20 items on the survey, but still cover the 10 topics and
Right, now to
and
Robin's
those
point,
issues as well.
I liked her thought that, just this general question, you do have to break it down.
You have to break it down.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
you definitely have to break it down, and,
So, probably gotta be more than 10, yeah.
Yeah.
yep.
You're right, yeah.
Those are some of the intangible, what I would say, culture aspects of an organization, that we're getting at in that part, Cheryl.
Thank you.
And I think you're right, we have to sort of ferret how, there may be a sense, among some residents, some questions there, and so, how do we uncover that and then help create a culture that supports that professionalism and accountability and things. So I think we should ask some questions around people's feelings on those things.
Do any of these 10 topics strike anyone as something that would interest them and that they would like to pursue so that we can fine tune the research and come to the next meeting with, lists or ideas or things?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Yes,
I think I would like to take a shot at number 6.
okay.
I'll just follow the body structure.
Mr. Chair,
It's
I
a
like,
significant, if it would be a change, a significant change, so.
Okay.
I'll volunteer for number 10.
10, okay.
I'll volunteer for number 2.
9.
Oh, is that the one you wanted?
No,
No,
9.
9.
Oh, I thought you said
Communication
mine.
and transfer.
Communication.
Mhm.
And just, Mr. Chairman, just so I'm clear, what is it that people like Paul, you volunteered for a number, what, legislative body?
Yes.
What is it that you're looking to find? What information or?
I don't know. I'm just thinking that a quick call into, say, the comps that have been listed in the DLS report, finding out what they have looked at for governing bodies, whether they still work under town meeting, whether they work under a representative type of government, and just kind of put all of that together to see if they've made changes, why they've made changes, do those changes work for them? Have they reverted back to something at a simpler time? Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an education process, right?
Yes.
I mean, you gotta dig in somewhere.
Yes.
It's too much to learn it all, so we just gotta grab something and, dig in.
And any suggestion you can throw my way. You do have the,
Just say, get your paperwork together.
you do have the greatest background.
Rick, you have probably the most experience in running, running town government or in town government. Are these changes super impactful and significant? Is this a major change to the way Dudley works? Or are they more minor and just procedural, or, I'm getting at? These earth-shattering changes,
Well, I guess.
if we adopted a charter.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say earth shattering. I guess it's a matter of opinion.
Okay.
Obviously, some of these, you're talking about working within state law. A lot of what you're looking at compared to other communities, this has all been done 100 times.
Exactly.
Whatever those changes might be. There's nothing here.
And for whatever reason, a town or city might have chosen to do it.
Correct. And usually, it's a place and time that drives people to finally make decisions for change. The old expression, is it an expression where you have to hit rock bottom before you can, so I don't think Dudley's rock bottom, but I think the goal is not to get to rock bottom. And, hope it doesn't take that, because like I said, place and time, places I've been, you could almost, you can look back at some of the political history and you can pinpoint when this change was made. And you know why it was? It's because of this political environment, or this public official did this and we had to, change that. So that's usually what it is. It's a place and time when decisions are made based upon the dynamics of that moment. But ultimately, it's a matter of, the requirements of government are pretty well defined by the state. General administration is well defined. You have to collect taxes. You have to have financial administration. You have to have accounting. You have to do licensing. An overwhelming amount of what government does is because you have to do it. The law says you have to do it. Now, what's left? That's and how do you?
But how you do it might be the,
It's exactly, that's right.
Right.
I've said for years that government is almost, local government is almost built to be inefficient. You know, I mean, there's no local government at all. When you're talking about all kinds of citizen committees, it's, you know, it's designed to be, inclusive. You know, and so you wanna squeeze as much efficiency out of an animal that's not designed to be efficient. It's designed to be inclusive. That's
If
the
you ran a
challenge.
business, you might say, I'm just gonna start doing this today.
Mhm.
You
That's
can't
right.
necessarily do
That's
that in
right.
government.
That's right. So,
Right.
you know, run government like a business. Well, it can't work like a business
Can't.
and meet the requirements of state law, et cetera. So I don't think I've done anything to help you answer that question at the moment.
Oh, you have.
But in terms of earth shattering, you know, I'm looking at the prior charter committees and their recommendations, you know, looking at, you know, these 10. There's nothing you could do that would be earth shattering.
Okay.
Nothing you could do that would be radical at this point. So it's just a matter of, you know, what is the community? Clearly, there wouldn't be a government study committee if there wasn't some general feeling, at the very least, that there needs to be some sort of organizational change. And people don't make organizational change to be less organized. You know, they make organizational change to become more organized.
Right.
Most by definition, that means more efficient. I mean, I think we all have our ideas. I have my own ideas from being in this business for over 30 years. You know, you've seen a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of ugly. But ultimately, you know, there's nothing here. There's no recommendations that anybody's gonna make that haven't been seen before in some fashion. So I don't think we're dealing with some sort of, you know, experiment in government.
You can report back to the board.
That would be good. I'm not sure.
Can we
that
be
would-
disbanded? Okay, thank you for that.
Would be fun though.
Okay, we've got 6, 9, 10, and 2. Two people can pick a topic too. I mean, we can certainly,
So you said you had 6, 9, 10, and 2?
yes,
So you don't have anyone to look into 4 yet?
no.
I'm happy to take a peek at other governance models.
I'm happy to work on number 7.
Okay. I will do. Maybe number 1 isn't even, I mean, number 1 isn't, it really, in my mind, all the other things equal number 1,
I agree.
kind of, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I
So
would.
you're taking number 1, is that what you're saying?
I would do 5. There's 9 of them, so we have, someone has to do 2.
Would it be beneficial that we all choose at least one this time, talk about it as a group, and then collaborate the next meeting as a group? And
Okay.
then after that, either come up with more questions that we would like answer from our research,
I like
and
that
then
idea.
people can double up and maybe they want to do their own research and add to it and so on. You can choose 2 numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Anybody?
I could just say real quick, 9 and 10 kind of
Oh, yeah.
overlap, I think.
Well, that's why I was like,
Significantly.
I would usually probably choose 9 and 10 myself.
Yeah. And also, some of them, 7 and 8, roles and responsibilities and training, will have better clarity once we have made some decisions on recommendations for models and such, right? Because that's going to, and efficiencies, if we've identified what efficiencies are and what models we might recommend, that's going to define roles and responsibilities and also what training might be needed. So some of that work might have to wait until after, or be more in-depth in after.
Let's start.
Yep.
Yeah, I would be
Yeah.
interested to know, there's lots of training and education for public officials through Mass Municipal and other state agencies. I mean, for instance, right now, every public official is supposed to have ethics training and keep that up to date with the State Ethics Commission. But it's supposed to be signing off on that anyway. So if you haven't done that, you need to make sure you do it, okay? So that's, and, open meeting law. I mean, these are, public records, open meeting laws. These are easy to access probably through your, whoever your town council is. There's a lot of programs available, like I said, through the, DLS, for, training for new selectmen, for instance, nuts and bolts of municipal finance. These are already out there. So in terms of, larger level training, I know what, Rob, I know you're talking more in terms of, okay, specific training to specific functions.
Yeah.
But in terms of having public officials understand, the big picture, like cherry sheets, and recap sheets, no one knows what that means, okay? But when you take some training, it all makes sense. But how would any citizen be able to understand what that is? And it's not an insult. How would you know? I mean, there's technical terms, setting a tax rate has certain components to it. But that training is available, that information is available right now. So to the extent that you can encourage your boards and committees to take these trainings, and if you're the appointing authority of a board or committee, you can basically compel, those people who volunteer. I mean, you're a volunteer, but you're still an officer of the town, and you still have responsibilities just because, you're not getting paid. So an appointing authority can compel their volunteers to take some of this training. And again, it's not overwhelming, but it really is a lot of great stuff out there right now. And it is very difficult, just like it's difficult to get volunteers. It is difficult to get volunteers who are working God knows how many hours a week to sit down in front of a computer and take some training. That is difficult, but if people are willing to volunteer, I would think they'd want to know as much as possible about the subject matter. But easy for me to say, I realize that. But there's a lot out there right now, and to the extent that towns can take advantage of that, kind of try to prod their volunteers to take advantage of that. I think that is a challenge, but I think it's healthy to get people to do that in some fashion.
Mr. Chairman, when I read that and I see the word structured, and I appreciate what you shared about the actual training is there. For me, structured says, well, if you're operating in this capacity, these are the things we recommend for your role. And I think that would be very useful. And again, I think it goes back to later on, once we decide the structure of the government, et cetera. But I think that would be a very important thing to say, for someone who's newly elected. Okay, this is your packet. This is what you take initially in your first year. And maybe 2 years later, there's another packet that supplements that or enhances that. And then depending on the roles, we recommend you take this, this, and the other. And then, to me, that's the structure. If you want to volunteer, if you want to get involved, that's great. But to do that job well, you have to be trained. I mean, otherwise you're just serving the community poorly.
And I'll go back to Robin's point too. Then you get more specific. Not everybody, every volunteer is going to be, a human resources specialist. Even if you have a personnel board of some sort, those people aren't personnel directors. They're not privy to legal decisions sometimes and legal history. So when you get into more specific training for an appointed town official, and their roles, well now we're into a different different realm that has to be pursued. But I think initially that's a really good point. The other thing too is somebody has to do that. Somebody has to prepare that information. Somebody has to stay on boards and committees, and you need staff to do that too. So that's doesn't just happen, as you know.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
it's a great idea.
I'm here, and I'm looking forward to taking
Yeah, it's a really
the
good idea.
code of ethics and the,
Yeah. Mhm.
open meeting, because I want to understand this
Sure.
process and,
Yeah.
and do it well,
Mm.
serve my position well.
Okay.
And that's just how I roll.
Yeah.
All right, so, we've all kind of agreed to look at some things, some of these topics. We'll bring back some good points and whatnot. We have to be careful about communicating outside the meeting. So if, let's just say, for example, Cheryl and Hannah have like 9 and 10. Can they communicate amongst the two of them, hey, I found this interesting point about communication or technology or vice versa?
They can certainly use their town email addresses, and Cheryl can send Hannah an interesting article that she
Okay.
found. What gets tricky is if there was any sort of deliberation outside of the open meeting.
Okay.
And what's also difficult is if there was a quorum on your email thread, but if it's just one member to the other, that's fine.
Well, if someone finds something interesting, they can't send it to all the committee members. Is sending information okay?
If somebody found an interesting article that they really wanted the full committee to have, I would recommend emailing it to myself and CCing the chairman, and then I can make sure that it gets uploaded into the OneDrive, and I could
Okay.
put it in a folder that says, I don't know, I wouldn't actually title it this, but interesting article found by committee members.
Yeah.
And you all can go there, and that can be your communal sharing space of
Okay,
sorts.
all right. Just so, as we get into,
Yeah.
we discussed this the last time, but we
Mhm.
may actually start doing something now, and I don't want to run
Yeah.
afoul of any, any
The other thing
rules.
I would point out too is that when you have subcommittees of a board that's specifically appointed by the board, I think what we're doing here is just volunteerism.
Mhm.
This board isn't specifically taking a vote to assign these people. When you get into that, well, now you're talking about, postings and minutes, and that's not what I'm hearing here now, which is good. We're talking about
Right.
just volunteers.
Perfect.
Even if,
Okay.
even if it's two looking at one topic, that's different than a formal assignment by the board.
And no decisions are being made by those two people.
Right, you're bringing your findings to the full body here.
Right, exactly. Okay. Item D, addressing committee member questions. I believe you mentioned you had one,
Do I?
the length of meeting.
Oh, yeah, so one of the committee members had emailed me asking about the length of our meetings. I think our first meeting ended up being about 2.5 hours long, which is understandable for a first meeting. There was a lot to cover.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if the chair wanted to discuss limiting the time frame of our meetings. We are meeting every other week at this point, but I didn't know if we start at 5:30, do you all want to be wrapped up by 7:30? Or you can have no guidelines on it. It's up to the committee, but I did have a member reach out to me and just pose the question.
Mhm. Does anybody have any feelings on that?
If I may, I like an hour. That I'll go on the other end of the spectrum, not longer, shorter. I shut down about after an hour.
Yeah, I'm supportive of that, but I think in general, if we start at 5:30, I think if 7 o'clock is the hard stop. Personally, I think that's reasonable, but.
And she said
that'd be
she
great.
had to leave at like 7, right?
If we have Sam do the recordings and she has her other commitments, she would have to leave here probably by 6:45. And that's on the night she's recording. If it ended up being a longer meeting and we anticipated it being a longer meeting, we could have Amanda come in. And we're actually hiring for another camera operator just because of conflicting schedules. So that shouldn't necessarily hinder us from meeting. It's just something to consider.
But with the board's, with everybody's approval, I'll strive to keep it to an hour and a half.
Okay.
For now. How's that?
We should be very efficient.
We're gonna be
and
efficient.
Let's stay on topic.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? Agenda, and let's,
There's
I
no
think-
reason why that can't happen.
right, so it really comes down to operating of the meeting.
Yeah.
right? That's all. I'm asking for some,
Absolutely.
you know.
I do think there will be times, because of the nature of the information that we're dealing with, that we may be mulling over details in depth at some point, and it may stretch a little longer than an hour and a half. And I just think it would be unreasonable to expect otherwise. I think this is a very important endeavor, and that it's gonna require us to, I mean, even going over 10 issues is going to take time.
Yeah,
So-
we're not gonna, the next meeting, we're not gonna, all of us, be able to present our findings. It's gonna be a 3-hour plus meeting if we go do that, so let's be realistic on the agenda, and let's chop it down, and not everybody's gonna talk at the next meeting. I mean, that would be my suggestion.
Should we decide now who will kind of present so that they can be prepared for that?
Mr. Chairman, the alternative I would offer to that is if we get a week down the road and say Paul has been incredibly efficient in his research as he is retired.
Oh, it's not
He could reach out to me via email and say, I have my stuff, I'll have it ready to go for the agenda. So I could always have a few of you reach out to me indicating your readiness.
I'm agreeable to
I
that.
agree.
Or I could have Hannah say, absolutely not, there's no way I'm gonna be ready to present.
Okay.
And I just won't put her on the agenda.
All right.
Actually, our next meeting is the 4th, correct?
Whatever,
August 4th.
not the
It is the
28th, so it
4th.
is the 4th.
Is that?
And I can already tell you I won't be ready. I'm gonna be coming back from vacation that day.
That's the,
Right.
swearing in of the new fire
Yes,
chief.
so I will not be here on
That's
the
at
4th.
6 o'clock. Yeah, well, obviously, I couldn't be here.
Right.
All right, so we're missing 2 of you on the 4th. Is anybody else unavailable on the 4th?
Oh, I'm fine.
You're good.
I should be here. I'm coming in that day, but I will be here.
Okay. For a quorum, I have to have, if I have 7 voting members, I have to have 4 of you here.
I'll be here.
I'll be
4
here.
voting members. All right, so we're good then.
We should be good.
All right, so I will not put Paul or Rick on the agenda for
Good.
their presentation of info.
Well, Paul hasn't figured it out yet. Every board needs someone to pick on.
Oh, I've got that figured already.
Well, the fact that you two aren't gonna be at the next one, I know we're gonna be done efficiently.
That's been noted before. Point well taken.
One other thing that I would add in terms of being efficient is whoever is presenting, if they could submit their materials ahead of time so that we, especially if it's something that's more meaty, to Cheryl's point, if we're gonna be getting into the nitty gritty of things, and if we can all commit to being prepared, meaning having read through things ahead of time, I think that will help us all be efficient as well.
So
So
maybe
that we're
with
not,
perhaps like a Friday deadline?
yeah, so that we're not.
we have the weekend?
Yeah, so that we're not, coming into the meeting blind, having not looked at the materials.
I think that would be very fruitful.
That's usually a good way of keeping
So
things
if
going.
possible, if we can, so that would mean sending it to Olivia and then uploading it?
So I have to post the agenda 48 hours in advance. So for a Monday night meeting, that would be Thursday night. So I would
Okay.
post that Thursday before I clocked out for the day. So you're welcome to send me your materials Friday morning. I would just need to know who is presenting by Thursday. Is that the 31st of July?
Yes.
Yeah.
By Thursday at 3 p.m.
You don't need to put what is being presented on the agenda, simply that someone is presenting.
Right, I could just put public business presentation of findings so far, or,
Do you have to say of operational efficiency? Or can we simply have an open agenda item to review the items and have that be sufficient?
I suppose we could have an open agenda item. Usually something like that, I would just list out, the person's name, for example, like it won't be Paul because he's ditching us. But I could have Rich Matthew, for example, presentation of findings so far. Hannah Ferris, presentation of findings so far.
That would be better.
Also lays it out more clearly for the public, what's gonna be occurring.
Sure. So we need to let you know by Wednesday before?
I would say I usually post the agenda around 3:30, 4 o'clock on Thursday. So as long as I have who's going to be presenting by Thursday at 3 p.m., Thursday the 31st,
Okay,
that's all I need.
all right, just everybody keep that in mind. Good. All right.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey.
Opposed?
I can't vote.